We in like swimwear.
Ah,
Ah, ah, ah, ah, ah. Woo.
My
Let's
phone.
get into it. Hey y'all, what's up? Welcome to Divine Podcast, where we inspire you to accomplish your goals, rooted in self. Ooh, that was wrong. So we're gonna redo it. What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to Divine Podcast, where we inspire you to accomplish your goals rooted in Christ, one day at a time. Yes, ma'am. We episode 4 in it right now. We were here, and I have a special guest, as you can see. You can't really miss him. My brother here. You know what I'm saying? Say hi. Say
What's
what's up.
down? What's down?
All right. So introduce yourself. What do you? Let them know who you are. Let the people know who you are.
Um, I ain't gonna give y'all my government. I'm Trey.
Speak up.
I'm Trey, and I'm her brother, and that's my function in life right now.
That's what you identify as
Hmm
right now. Okay, cool. Yeah, as y'all can tell by the setting, we changed locations. It's giving very much where I'm from, country bunking. Um, but we're glad to be here
Louisiana.
today. What was that?
Say Louisiana.
Louisiana. Yes, sir. Uh, so in this episode, we're going to be talking about isolation. Pretty sure y'all know a little bit about that. Trey, what you know about isolation?
A lot.
A lot.
A lot.
Okay, I'm glad you're here then. All right, so just to start off, a little icebreaker. Who's your favorite Bible character? Sure did.
For our next speaker. Uh,
Speak up.
favorite Bible character:
Yes.
Joshua.
Joshua. Why?
His faithfulness and his boldness and his strong belief in what God could do.
For
Yeah.
sure. Okay. I guess I'm gonna say mine too, since it's a show and tell. I'm gonna say Paul. Yeah, I kind of resonate with Paul. And he fired with the pen. You know what I'm saying? I feel like Paul would be like a rapper in today's times, and he just write diss tracks to the church. Like I listen to his album for sure. But okay, so since we're talking about isolation, um, I have a question for you. If you could summarize isolation in 3 words, what would they be based on like your personal experience with it?
3 words.
Yes,
Alone with God.
alone with God.
Hmm
I like that for sure. All right. So for the first point that I want to make, it just says time alone grants you the opportunity to look at yourself. Now I'm gonna read this passage, and then we're gonna get into it for real, for real. We're gonna tee up for real. All right. So this is Psalms 25:15 through 17. I hope y'all can hear me with this wind. But it says, "My eyes are always on the Lord, for he rescues me from the traps of my enemies. Turn to me and have mercy, for I am alone and in deep distress. My problems go from bad to worse. Oh, save me from them all." And yeah, when I was reading this, it kind of just it gave me the vibes at least of how my isolation season went. And yeah, um, based on how, oh, hold on, I lost it. But yeah, in the time alone in isolation, um, I feel like your eyes on the Lord. That's like Trey said, it's like your alone time with God. It's your way to connect with God and get to know him for who he truly is. Um yeah. Um so Trey,
hmm
chime in whenever you want. But I put a point here says understand that it is important to look to God while in isolation. because the devil will try you. So how important do you think uh looking using that isolation time to, you know, grow closer in God? You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like it could go either way based on how you um
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
utilize your isolation process. So yeah.
How important is it? It's vital.
Talking to the mic.
It's vital. If you don't, you know, focus on God during your period of isolation, you're gonna be focusing on everything else, and that isn't necessarily the best thing to do. Um, you're gonna be focused on what people say concerning you, what people, do, how they act around you. You're gonna be concerned with the things that's happening around you, money. Uh, none of that alone uh, can sustain you. You know, money. Yeah, money's great, but money not going. Money's not gonna be your father. Money's not gonna be your mother. When you need comfort, money is not gonna, show you love. It's not gonna hug you. People, people are fickle. People are one way one day and then another way the next day. You know, and what you'll find in your season of isolation, uh, when you're not focusing on God, is that everything else, there's no way it could serve as a foundation. Like there's no way you could put weight on anything other than God, because only God is perfect, and only God, has the ability to make promises that He can keep. You know, people will promise you things, and sometimes it just they won't follow through with it because people are people. People are flawed. People lie. Money ain't gonna always be there. It ain't gonna always be rolling in. Things break, things fold, things give in. Only the perfect, all powerful God, all knowing and all loving God is strong enough to be that foundation for us. So that's
Right.
why it's very important to like focus on God in your isolation, because
Yeah.
He has everything you need. You know, all that stuff that you would be focusing on otherwise, He has all of that. All of that is in His hands. So yeah,
And
it's
yeah,
important.
like you said, that stuff don't it doesn't really, you know. Also, can you hold this Bible for me? I'm gonna get you to read out. I got bookmarks for you, so you can just close it. But yeah, like you said, that stuff it doesn't really equate to peace. Like all the outside stuff that we use as distractions. It doesn't really equate to the true peace that God can give us. And honestly, in your isolation time, that time should be used um to I guess help you understand that those things don't equate to his peace. Cause like he said, people are fickle. Like, and you gonna learn that in like your time of isolation with God. Nobody got has him like you have him, and when you can't rely on nobody else, that's who you can rely on. And yeah, and in the time of isolation, like you can use that time to isolate from things of the world. Like it doesn't really necessarily mean like, oh, I'm caught up, I'm stuck in my room, da 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 da. It could be from like habits of like spending money or habits of like gossiping with other people. Um Basically like fasting. Did you ever fast in like your isolation time period?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
did a fast. I did 21 days just water.
You sure did. You sure did. And
Yeah,
I ain't lying. I put that in my notes because I never forget that.
yeah.
So, how important do you think fasting is for like that time
Extremely
with God?
important. Probably the most underrated thing, that we don't do. We read in the Bible and we don't the church don't fast, these days.
Mm,
And if we do, it's like, it's not never really solemn,
right.
you know, never really giving up anything real. Might turn down your plate for a few hours and y'all call it a fast, but
Mm,
when you really need something from God, fasting is, it has its health benefits and all of that, and that's great. But the real reason we fast, at least for believers, um, is showing God that He's more important to you than your life. You
right.
know,
Your
we use
desires.
food to sustain our life, but turning down your plate and saying my life, that God's will is more important than you know my individual will. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
and He honors that by blessing you with what you need in that period of isolation and in that time during your fast.
And it helped. I found like for me with fasting, it helped me be able to turn down those things that I struggle with. So what I used to kind of give into, like the sins I used to kind of give into, fasting helped me, have a stronger, I guess, spirit. You know what I'm saying? It helped me. My connection with God was stronger. So um, it allowed me to be like, okay, I'm gonna push that to the side. That's something I don't really struggle with anymore. Like it's easier for me to not push it down, but um, what's it called? Help me out here, struggling. But you know what I'm saying? It helped me to
Gives you the willpower.
it gives me the willpower. That's it. It gives me willpower. Like what I used to like give into, now I'm just like, all right, devil, you tried it, but that's not gonna happen. And it give you that stamina, it give you that endurance, and it helps with discipline on in your walk with God. So, how did you what were some ways that you were able to call to God for strength in the time of your 21-day water fast? Because that's wild. That's wow. I ain't lying.
I mean, honestly, it's not as hard as people say it is. I mean, maybe if you got health complications, it would be a little difficult. But like, somebody like me, it's not really hard. It's the hard part is, you know, telling yourself not to eat. The hard part is denying yourself.
Mm,
The hard part is not refusing your body of food. The hard part is all in the mind, and that's what a blessing is, because you're really learning. You're really learning how to resist.
right.
You're really learning how to resist the enemy. You're really learning how to kill the flesh.
Hmm.
That's what fasting is teaching you. And when the less you feed the flesh, the more the spirit can come forth. So that's why, you listen to people talk about, the results of fasting. They'll say mentally, I have more clarity. Well, well.
It's okay as long as it didn't stop recording. Yeah, and you know what? Okay. Like you were saying, mentally you have more clarity.
Yeah. So, a lot of people, that aren't. So,
So sorry.
a lot of people that'll, they'll do a fast and they'll give you, you know, how they were affected by a fast, and they might not necessarily be spiritual in the way that we're spiritual, or just not spiritual at all. They'll say, I got mental clarity. I feel I can focus better, but that's because even though they weren't trying to, what they were doing was killing the flesh.
Mm-hmm.
So that made space
For the Holy
for
Spirit.
other aspects,
Mm-hmm.
like the mind.
Mm-hmm.
So the mental clarity was able to come through because they were killing their desire to feed the flesh. So that's what fasting is really about. It's really about teaching yourself how to deny yourself. Because I mean, if we being honest, like we are in those days, in the last days, and more we're starting to have to refuse more and more. We're starting to have to say no to a lot.
Facts.
So if you're not fasting, or if you are not teaching yourself how to, I wouldn't even say teaching yourself, really it's the spirit of God giving you the strength that you need through that fast to be able to say no to sin
Mm-hmm.
and no to things that he tells you to say no to. So if you're not fasting, I mean, I don't know what other way you could be denying your flesh, but I would hope that that's something you're practicing.
Right. And even with fasting, I saw a lady say, when you're fasting, it a lot of what you struggle with is gonna like come up. So it's gonna reveal itself since you're starving it. And like he said, with clarity, you're able to see it for what it truly is. So whenever you are fasting, just pay attention to things that are coming up that you know that aren't of God. So then you can like rebuke those and cast them down. So you're able to be delivered, because that's the key to fasting too, like deliverance, continuing to die to your flesh. And I recommend fasting, like, man, somebody said you really need to fast like every week if you can, like even if it's just one day out the week, but definitely fast regularly, especially when you find yourself drifting away from God and you feel like you can't hear his voice no more, and you can't tell between what's his voice and what's your voice, or what the devil is saying to you. That's when you need to do a fast. And when you fasting, like, take it serious for real. Like, don't put I need you to listen to sermons. I need you to be praying. You don't even really need to be watching anything that's not of God, because you're supposed to be denying your flesh anyway. But yeah, just pay attention to what comes up when you are starving your flesh, because that's it, kind of trying to like escaping out of you, because it's like it's not comfortable in your body anymore, in your soul anymore.
And also, just because you turning down a plate, that alone is not going to grow you spiritually. Like Deborah was saying, you got to feed your spirit. And if you feeding your spirit the wrong things during the fast, that's what's going to multiply. You know what I'm
Facts.
saying? So yeah.
Period. All right. If God's calling you in a season of isolation. Oh, matter of fact, go to Psalms, please. Can you go to Psalms? It
Psalms.
should be bookmarked.
Psalms what?
Um, 34:17 through 20.
34.
Yeah, 17 through 20. Through 20. Yeah, there.
34, 17 to 20.
Mm-hmm.
The Lord hears his people when they call to him for help. He rescues them from all their troubles. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted. He rescues those whose spirits are crushed. The righteous person faces many troubles, but the Lord comes to the rescue of each time. For the Lord protects the bones of the righteous. Not one of them is broken.
Dang, the Bible app need to do a deal with you. It just sounds so profound. It's like, wow. Nah, but anyways, yeah, that's also just like a reminder of how it is in the isolation process, because it's not easy. It's not easy. You gonna probably see some people in your life for who they truly are. Um, and you gonna be calling on God like no other in that time. And honestly, that's where a lot of your strength comes from. You gonna come out stronger, um, especially spiritually, and that's when you gonna realize, like I said, that nobody got you like God got you. Amen. But yeah. So on to the next point.
Hold on, though.
What? Oh, you want to add something?
This
Go ahead.
important
Go
though.
ahead.
Verse 17. Verse 17 tells you who the Lord hears.
Mm,
The Lord hears his people
yeah.
when they call to him for help. Now that's important because you need to know whether you are of his or not. And how do you know you are of his? Jesus said, you ain't with me unless you doing the Father's will.
Ooh, straight up.
Though you those of us, that do God's will, that's who he's hearing. Bible says the prayers of the righteous availeth much. You got to step back and ask yourself, how am I living?
Yeah.
You know, is my are my actions lined up with the will of God? Because if not, when you praying, I mean, it's up in the air whether God is hearing you or not.
Right.
Are you His people? Can you call yourself a son of God or a daughter of the Most High? Can you call yourself a brother to Jesus Christ or a sister or an aunt or an uncle? Or can you say you're doing God's will? Can you say that? Can you look at your life and say, I'm leading a pretty righteous life. I'm
Right.
doing right by God. If you can't, then don't get mad at God when you call on him and the prayers ain't answered.
Yep. Does he know you? I know you know about him, but do you know him for real? Do he know you? Are you really dying to your flesh for real? Find out next. All right. For real. That's all you had to say about that? Or you got something else? Preacher divinity.
Verse 19 says, "The righteous person faces many troubles." So yeah, I just got finished saying, yeah, the righteous, God's hearing His people, but that don't mean you ain't gonna go through anything just because you of His. That don't mean you're not gonna have to suffer. Because right here in verse 19 it says, "The righteous person faces many troubles,
Many.
many." So if you coming to God thinking stuff sweet, and as soon as I get right with God and give my life to Christ, it's gonna be nice and easy. It's gonna be peaches and cream. Nah. Matter of fact, in
That's when
this
you get
day,
tried the most.
and matter of fact, in
Man.
this day, it's gonna be harder for you as a believer
You going
because you have to say no.
Yeah, you going against the grain. You rebelling. Of course they gonna have some resistance. People gonna
the
come for you.
the way of the Most High is rebellious by nature because of the nature of the world.
Right.
This Bible I'm holding right here is teaching you to go against everything the world doing. It's telling you to go the other way when the world's going one way.
And when you walking with God, you serving as a mirror to things that they need to work on. Of course, we all working on things, trying to be more like Christ, but you're literally you're serving as a mirror, just as the Bible does us on our walk with God. So keep that in mind. My fault.
What you mean your fault? This your soul.
Okay, I mean still. Who's talking? All right. Got any more? The verses.
Nope, that's it. That's all
That's
I
it.
got.
All right. So all right, to the next point. Period. Uh this is okay. To the next point. If God is calling you in a season of isolation, It means he wants to elevate you, and it could be in different types of ways. Like spiritually, especially just spiritually. Let's go with that. He wants to elevate you spiritually. And what came in mind for me was the story of Joseph. We know Joseph went through it. He was betrayed by a lot of people in his life. And before he was elevated, and he was, what was he, the vice president of Potiphar eventually?
Who?
Like Joseph.
Joseph. I don't
The
remember.
ones where his brothers betrayed him. My brothers will come for me.
I forgot what they
That
call it. I forgot what they call the
um,
position.
the position. But he was basically kind of high, like towards the end, like once he reached
I think he was like
uh
over Egypt or something like that. I
yeah, once he
forgot.
reached his destiny, uh he was kind of like the right hand man to Potiphar. But before that, he went through a lot of things. God had to humble him. He went through isolation process. Like he was in prison for a couple years, and in that time, I'm pretty sure God was, he got close to God. God revealed a lot, um, dealing with his heart in that time, and I feel like he learned a lot of lessons that were able to carry him over into the time where he was elevated. And before he does elevate you, like he gotta humble you. You know what I'm saying? Because the glory needs to go to him. He not just gonna elevate anybody. Your heart gotta be in the right place, and you have to want, not want. Well, yeah, you have to want for him to get the glory. You can't take the credit because you doing it in his strength. So yeah, so it's certain experience that you'll get in isolation that you're not gonna get doing the same things. So like we were talking about earlier, it's how you navigate yourself during that time in isolation. Uh and you gonna learn a lot of lessons just heeding into what God is saying to you and what he wants you to do in the next season of your life. Because if you don't learn what he's trying to tell you, and you fall into uh those old traps, then you gonna stay in that season. So anyways, you have anything to add to that? No? Okay. Oh, and the more distractions, the more distracted you'll be. Okay, yeah, I just want to say that. All right. Ooh, I wish we had a verse for this, but in isolation, it teaches you to be alone too. So how in your process? Okay, hold on. We gonna let the wind do what it do.
God up there sweeping.
Huh?
Said God up there sweeping.
Nah, facts. He clearing the. Hey, all right, Lord. Um, Yeah, I'm just gonna read this out and then we're gonna talk about it. But isolation teaches you to be alone too, because when God elevates you, there are gonna be a lot of instances where you'll be alone because a lot of people around you are not gonna be with you on. Like they're not gonna be able to come with you, and He's preparing you in that moment. Kind of like with Joseph, he was alone in that time. And look, he was up there with the people in Egypt. Like those people did not serve God. They serving gods at this point. So for Joseph to be able to even get to that position, he had to be willing to be used by God. Ooh, all right, Lord, for sure. And I'm pretty sure he had to be strong spiritually because if you around all those people who does not serve God, you the only one going against the grain. Like we were saying earlier, you gonna get tried, and I'm pretty sure he was tried, especially in a high position like that. So during that time in prison, where he was able to, grow and be able to eventually be, elevated into where he was, in order for God to get the true glory, like his heart had to be in the right space, you know. Yeah. Okay. Um. Oh yeah. So in your time, don't do that. All right. So in your time, like of isolation, but I don't know. I feel like growing up and watching you, you were always cool with being alone. You know what I'm saying? So did like any time your isolation process where did it strengthen your I guess your willingness to be alone because of standing up for God? You know what I'm saying? For living differently than your peers? Okay.
Yes. But my isolation, I didn't always like to be isolated, but that's just the way things started off. You
Right.
know, I'd always been different from most people, and there was a period in my life that I tried to fit in and please people just so
We all
I
have
could be
that.
a part of a group.
Hmm.
And one day I just got tired of it, and I decided, I prefer my own company over having to be somebody else in everybody else's company. So in that alone time, uh, definitely strengthened my resolve, and it gave me the ability to, you know, to walk away from things, that don't serve me or serve the will of God. So, you
Yeah.
know, I can I can choose to do something, whether the other 7, 8, or 9 billion people on this planet choose to do it with me or not. You know, I'm, that period of alone time really strengthened my ability to walk alone, because sometimes that's what you're gonna have to do. Sometimes
Facts.
you're gonna be the only person trying to serve God. Sometimes you're gonna be the only person wanting to be righteous, and sometimes you're gonna be the only person wanting to do right and do well, and you need the strength and the mental toughness to be able to decide to do the right thing.
Right.
You need that toughness to be able to say, I don't care what y'all do. I'm gonna do the right thing on this side. And if you gotta walk away from people, that's just what you gotta do.
That's what you got to do. Straight up. Believe them. When they show you who they are, believe them. Believe them. Walk away in love. Pray for them, though. Pray for them. All right. Ooh. Okay. So I was thinking, because when I was prepping for this, I was like, my alone time with God, and I was able to recognize blessings that weren't necessarily connected to, well, at least I was able to recognize blessings that people couldn't even see. Because you know how you can see when people were blessed about like things that God's blessing them with, like material things, stuff like that, which is a blessing, of course. But like even those small things on your daily walk with God, it helped me to recognize how I'm blessed without people knowing in a way. It's just between you and God. And I feel like in those times, that's what's most important. That's what's gonna carry you in your relationship with God. You know what I'm saying? Those
Hmm.
little things. The yeah. Shoot. That's all I gotta say. Shoot. What about you? Shoot.
Yeah, so you really realize isolation really makes things stick out to you, and
For sure.
just being able, the ability to be isolated and still, and not need the approval of others.
It's a privilege.
It's a privilege and it's a superpower. Not everybody has
Yeah.
that power. I mean,
Yeah.
just look at the world. This hive mind that people got. Some people find it difficult to do the right thing when everybody else is doing the wrong thing. You
Mm,
know, so to be able to resist, to be able to stand alone and be comfortable by yourself with just you and God, it's a superpower.
it is. For sure. All right. So I was also thinking that after my isolation season, it just brought a fire within me. Like kind of like you said, it's a superpower being able to stand against what other people are doing. And I feel like being able to stand alone, like having the strength to stand alone, I feel like it brought a fire within me. Like now I'm like, I don't care. Like I'm gonna get my the truth out there and nobody gonna stop me. So like did you find that after your time, your isolation time, that you know something was instilled in you, like you was different, like the strength in you was like instilled.
I had much more of a backbone.
Yeah,
I
backbone. That's
don't.
good.
Before my isolation, before I was my in my period of needing the world's validation,
Mm, for sure, for sure.
um, you have no backbone. If your if your self worth is dependent upon how other people think about you, especially knowing how fickle people are,
Mm-hmm.
your self-worth is going to your back is going to bend with their approval, because today they with you, tomorrow they not. Today you standing up straight, tomorrow the devil riding your back, because you don't have any type of vertebrae. You don't have any spiritual or mental toughness. Not even toughness, just rigidity. You know what I'm saying? Like,
You be reading, huh? That man
no,
said
not really.
vertebrae, rigidity. Listen to what I'm saying. Profound. Period. Nah, for real.
You just don't have that you don't have that thing within you that how should I put this? You don't have the power. You don't have the power to say no when everybody around you says the answer is yes. You got to have, if everybody on the planet, if all the mathematicians right now change their mind and said 2 plus 2 is 5, you got to have the mental stability and the mental strength to say no is 4.
Right.
That's how strong you got to be. That's what isolation did for me, was give me a backbone. You know, I can, you know, put my foot down on what's right and what's wrong.
Mm-hmm. And shoot, even I know it helped me with discipline, even in just like my personal relationship with God, like with things that people can't even see that you're struggling with. Like, cause as you grow in God, it's gonna be things where it's not as obvious to other people, that stuff that you need to cut off that's gonna bring you closer to God. And it's you gotta have the strength to cut it off. Period. Alrighty. Anyways. uh Yeah. Ooh. All right. So this kind of go with what you were saying, but I put right here, you have to be okay with being alone with yourself before you can be alone in this world, because being in this world is going to amplify your struggles and where your mind is at. Because if you don't think that the devil not gonna try to throw at you things of your past, you got another thing coming. Like, and you got to be able to, like he said, you got to be able to say no, have that discipline. So you got to know the devil's tactics. And once you start being able to say no, it's gonna become easier, and you're gonna be able to identify the little traps that he try to throw you. And it's like, dang, you gotta come stronger than that, bro. That's what you still alright. You're lame, but okay. Go off. But yeah, it's gonna amplify it. If you struggle with this, best believe he gonna try to find a way to try to tempt you to go back to it again. Anyways, all right. So describe the different ways in which your outlook on life had changed when you begin to know the truth. Like, I know it changes your whole perspective on life. Like, you see the world so different. You're like, whoa. Oh my gosh. So yeah, I'm gonna let you think on that. I'm gonna start though. Uh, Basically, I started seeing stuff more from a spiritual perspective. I feel like that comes with it though. You know what I'm saying? But things that people don't think you should trip over, I'm tripping over because I see things from like a spiritual lens. And yeah, people gonna think you a little cray cray, but it's okay. You cray cray for the Lord, and your soul is pleased, and the Lord is pleased, and that's all that matters. All right, you got your answer. Do 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 do.
Okay, pops.
Huh?
Um,
Not too much. Not too much.
let's see.
I'm entertaining people while you think. I'm gonna do a liturgical.
Ha 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 ha. No, I
Wow.
didn't say nothing. You should get weights for that.
We should. Okay. Sorry, y'all. We had technical difficulties, and when I say technical, hold on.
We're fighting nature right now.
Yes, we are fighting nature right now. They don't want us to be great. Hold on. You see what I'm saying? Like, come on. Anyways, what you said, Trey? God sweeping right now.
He's sweeping.
He cleaning right now. It's like the equivalent to when you wake up to your mom blasting gospel music and she cleaning the house. All right.
You wake up on a Saturday morning and hit Todd Tree, it's time to clean, boy.
Like, no, I just had a long week at school. You want me to clean? Like, girl. All right.
Oh, my answer, my
Yeah,
answer.
yeah.
Yeah,
Did you need
yeah.
me to repeat the question or?
Nah, 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 nah,
Okay.
nah.
All right.
I started to see the world as black and white. Because in reality, there is no gray area. You know, it either falls in the category of right or the category of wrong. It either falls in the category of righteous or unrighteous. It falls in the category of godly and ungodly. So every that's everything. You can pretty much categorize everything in just those two categories. You can put everything in one of those two.
See the serving
So
God or the devil. My bad.
right,
Go ahead.
that's your choices. There's no in between. You can't serve the world and God. You can't serve your mama and God. You can't serve your daddy and God. You can't serve money and God. The Bible say you'll despise one and love the other. You're gonna choose which one you really love. You can't serve two masters. So that's how I started to see the world. And things get a lot more simple when there's no gray area.
Hey, that's real. That's real right there.
And
Yep.
it becomes a lot uh that's another one of those things that gives you a backbone because the world has many different categories. The world, we know, that you're either serving God or you're serving the devil. That's it. But a world that rejects God, you know, they're serving in their mind. They're serving many other things. And it's okay to them.
Not a
They can
compromise.
serve themselves. They can put themselves in the place of God and serve themselves and feel like they're doing the right thing. They can serve money and put money in the place of God and feel like they're doing the right thing. People that have no knowledge of God are gonna serve something or serve many things. So, That's why you can look at some of these other religions with all the gods they have.
Shoot, not even serving things, just being a slave to things, and they
Right.
don't even know it.
But yeah, it'll it'll you know that's how I saw the world, man. Just and I started to see the world in black and white. I started to see the world in godly and ungodly, and you got to do like Moses, man. I don't know if it was Moses. I forgot who it was, but he said, if you who's on the lower side,
Mm-hmm.
'cause that's if you ain't on the lower side, there's only one other side you can be on.
Straight up.
So you got to make a decision in this life as a believer. Who you gonna serve?
Facts.
Are you really? I mean, just like we read, the righteous people gonna go through a lot. So
Facts.
and probably even more in these days. So you got to make a decision
Yep.
because really the ultimate goal is heaven for us. You know, everybody else got the world has their goals, but our goal as believers is heaven. Our goal is to be with the Father for
The,
eternity.
the true gift. That's
Right.
yeah.
That's the true
That's the
the
true
true
gift.
gift in this life before we die. The true gift for us as believers is the relationship with God that we have.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, it's sad to say that some people think, you know, some believers believe that the 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 best thing we could have is, God doing things for us. We think a lot of believers think that that's the whole point of being in a relationship with God, to be blessed.
Right.
But the blessing is the relationship.
Yes. And being
The
able to have
bless
his
the blessing is
presence.
not, you know, you getting that unexpected check in the mail when you needed it the most, or you know, God providing you with a house or a car. That's not really what a blessing is at. That's just that's the goodness of God.
Mm.
That's just God being good to you
A bar.
off the relationship.
That's just who
That
he is,
God is
man.
like a good husband.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? All that is lanyard.
Mm-hmm.
All the stuff he can give you, all the all the things he can do for you is lanyard.
Yeah.
The blessing is the relationship.
Yep.
It's the intimacy with God.
The
That's the real
access.
blessing.
Yeah.
So sometimes our problem as believers is we put the blessing in the place of God and we worship the blessing
Ooh.
because with our eyes leave you know who was blessing us. Well, some of us aren't with God because He's God, and you know some of us are with God because He's good, and that's it. Well, God is good, and
Mm-hmm.
that's why I give Him the praise because He's been good to me. Well, if God didn't do nothing for you,
No. Right.
if God decided to
Right.
take everything that He blessed you with right now, if He just took it, you know, how many of y'all would stick with Him?
Right.
How many of y'all would have the foresight to be like, you know what, despite what's going on in my life right now, I'm gonna stick with God?
Yeah. This is gonna work out for my good.
How many of y'all value God's
Mm-hmm.
intimacy with? How many of you value intimacy with God
Mm-hmm.
over the blessings
Mm.
of God? Because when we get to heaven, that's gonna be us being with the Father. That's what He wanted from the beginning when He created Adam. The whole reason He created Adam
Right.
was because He wanted to have a relationship with somebody in His image. Why else would He create a being with a mind and free will? because God is a relational God. He wants to have a
Exactly.
relationship.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what keep you for real. The relationship,
The
not
relationship.
not the things of this earth. Being them times when you call on him and he deliver, and not in like a, like he said, in the blessings of like cars and money and stuff like that. Even just the little things of, all right, God, man, you know I'm struggling right now, and he just saying like a little, um, I don't know, like a confirmation or something of something you dealing with, or just like strength. Like, I ain't lying. The past week, I know it was God who kept me, and I'm not lying. That that moment, and that blessing from God meant more to me than anything that could equate to like money and things of the world. Like, I was like, God, like I'm tired right now. I don't know how I'm gonna get through this, but I need you to grant me the strength. And he granted me the strength. And it was to a point where it was undeniable. I was like, yeah, this shoe right here, Lord. I don't know how I'm still holding on, but this shoe right here. And I thank you for that. Like, that's what's gonna keep you in your walk with God. Straight up.
This is what the Israelites didn't understand.
Uh,
When you read the Old Testament, you know, when they felt like God wasn't there and God wasn't doing what they wanted Him to do, they'll go
right.
and serve other gods, and they paid the piper.
So did.
They had to deal with the consequences of that. You can't make a covenant with the Father and break it and expect you know His blessings.
Right.
You can't expect His protection, and that's what I'm afraid a lot of people do. Is they find the Lord, they find Christ, and they give Him His life.
They don't
They
maintain.
give God His life, their life, and as soon as things ain't going their way, you know, as soon as the blessings not rolling in, all of a sudden, you know
Mm-hmm.
what? Let me go back to serving myself because it look like this serving God thing. It's not giving me what I want at this
Right.
point in time, at this moment, when which shows that you weren't really with God for who He is. You was just with God for what He could do.
Yep.
So yeah.
And if you got a heart that's only like temporary for him, expect temporary blessings. Because like I said, in when you really locked in with God, you can see the blessings that don't equate to like we saying like worldly things. You can be broke as a joke, but if you really with the Lord, you gonna see in the ways that He's blessing you. Straight up. All right. Like Forrest Gump said, that's all I have to say about that. You got anything to add?
Nope.
Nope. Well, just to end it off, isolation season, babes. It's rocky, but you gonna come out stronger, and it's gonna all work out for your good. It's really about shaping your heart to get you to the next point of your life, of your walk with God, and just use it, utilize that isolation process to get closer to God. Make the most of it. Don't fall. Don't fall back into to what the devil wants you to do. Don't do that. But yeah. Any last words?
Um, Isolation is cool when God is in it.
Period.
When it's just you and God,
Mm-hmm.
don't be don't waste your isolation. Don't trade it in for you know validation. Use it wisely.
Use it wisely, for sure. All right. Well, thank you for being here today. Oh, wise one.
Ha ha ha.
Drop some gems. I ain't lying. Yeah. Thank y'all for tuning in. I love you guys, and I hope you guys have a great day. God loves you as well. Okay. And love and blessings, Bookies. Peace. Oh, we gotta do a